The message that shook the stars, the Galactic Council's meeting hall, stood in silence. For the first time in over a century, all member species had gathered under one dome. The great hall floated in deep space, surrounded by peaceful stars, and guarded by fleets from 50 civilizations. But inside, there was no peace, only fear. High voices echoed across the hall. Angry arguments, confused questions, desperate pleas. They must listen. Earth must answer. Humans are coming, and we don't know why. In the center of the chamber, an old alien leader named Viken raised his long silver hand. He was one of the oldest council members, known for his calm and wisdom. But today, even Viken's voice trembled. The Terrans have returned. The hall went quiet. No one moved. For generations, Earth had been silent. After the Unity War, when humanity's colonies were attacked, betrayed, and abandoned, they had pulled back from the stars. No human had spoken at the council. No Terran ships had answered hails. They simply vanished. Many believed Earth was gone, destroyed, or worse, forgotten. But now, Earth had sent a signal. No words, no pictures. Only one symbol, a burning white flame, on a black screen, and then a countdown. The Council's security division had tried everything. No frequency returned results. No channel accepted contact. Human space was surrounded by strange, invisible defenses ships that didn't broadcast signals, satellites that erased anything that got too close. One probe had reached Earth's orbit. It was turned to dust in mid-flight. The message came minutes later. Peace was offered once. That was all it said. Then silence. Among the delegates, one voice rose above the rest. Ambassador Chari, a young alien diplomat, stood with shaking hands. "We betrayed them," she said. "We promised Earth help during the war, but we were too slow. We gave them words, not action. And when they needed us most, we turned away." The hall murmured. Many remembered. Humans had asked for help when 3 alien empires attacked their colonies at once. The Council had delayed, too busy with trade talks and border politics. By the time they voted to support Earth, 10 human worlds were already burning. The humans never forgave them. Now, something worse was happening, something the Council had never seen before. Earth ships were moving again. Reports had come in from deep space stations, entire patrols wiped out, scout fleets missing. One cargo station, which once helped block Terran supply lines, was destroyed in 6 seconds. Its logs were empty. No warning, no demands. Just silence. Then fire. The Council tried again to reach Earth. No reply. But one low-ranking technician intercepted a strange shortwave message hidden in an old trade channel. It was human code, and it said, "Peace is no longer an option." In the far back of the council chamber, Commander Ralik, a veteran warrior of the Yaran people, stood slowly. "I served in the Unity War," he said. His deep voice carried through the silence. "I saw what humanity can do when they are angry, when they feel betrayed. They do not fight like us. They do not stop like us." He looked around the room, his eyes cold. If they are coming back, then the galaxy must prepare for something far worse than war. Ambassador Chari leaned forward. "We must send a new message. One of peace, one of surrender if we must." "But what if they don't care anymore?" asked another delegate. She whispered. "Then may the stars protect us all." On the edge of the Milky Way, far from the Council's homeworlds, a single black ship drifted silently near a red dwarf star. It was shaped like a dagger. No lights, no name, no signal. Inside, a lone human captain stared at a screen. The flame symbol burned on the display. Behind him, a voice crackled over the intercom. "All systems online. Awaiting strike confirmation." The captain didn't speak. He simply opened a small metal box beside him. Inside was an old photo-faded, stained, but still clear, a family. Colony. One of the 10 that were destroyed during the war. He placed the photo down gently and said only one word. Begin. Far away, the Council's defense beacons flashed. Red. Multiple contacts detected near their border systems. Unmarked ships. Silent. Fast. Deadly. And just like that, the myth of Earth being forgotten vanished. They were not lost. They were not dead. They were preparing. And now, the galaxy would finally learn what happens when humanity stops asking for peace. Asterisk. The cold silence of Earth, the Galactic Council launched a peace fleet within 24 hours. 50 ships, flagged with every color of the Council's United Worlds, headed toward the Sol system, the heart of Earth's domain. Their mission was clear: deliver a message of peace, offer forgiveness, and stop humanity before they lit the stars on fire. No weapons raised. No soldiers deployed. Just diplomats, envoys, and translation officers. But as the ships entered the edge of Sol space, something strange happened. Everything went quiet. No signals reached beyond the border. Navigation systems GLITCHE. Scout drones sent ahead simply vanished. Even the stars seemed dimmer near Earth, as if space itself had grown darker. Captain Virat, a senior diplomat from the Valari species, stood on the bridge of the lead ship. He had met humans once decades ago. Back then, they smiled, offered food, even shared stories. They spoke of unity, not revenge. But now, the screens showed nothing. Only darkness. Then, without sound or warning, they appeared. 15 black warships, shaped like blades, drifted into view. No light. No engine noise. No visible crew. They moved like ghosts, blocking every angle of the Council fleet. Panic spread through the bridge. Attempt communication. Virat shouted. The transmission officer tapped controls. No response. They're ignoring all open channels. Try Terran. Frequencies. Still nothing. A low alarm beeped. The ships were scanning them. Every deck, every weapon, every heartbeat. Then, a signal blinked on the screen. One word appeared. Observed. Captain Virat stepped forward. We come in peace. The Council seeks forgiveness. We ask for open talks. No answer. Instead, the Terran ships moved slowly, forming a perfect ring around the Council fleet. They didn't charge weapons. They didn't fire. They just circled. Watching. As if waiting. One of the younger diplomats whispered, "What are they doing?" Virat's eyes narrowed. They're reminding us that we're inside their territory now, that we don't set the rules anymore. Hours passed. The Council ships floated like insects inside a cage of steel giants. Some officers suggested retreat. Others begged for patience. But Captain Virat did something bold. He ordered a single small envoy pod to be sent toward Earth. Inside it was a message, written in every language. The galaxy remembers. The Council is ready to make peace. Let us speak. Let us heal. The pod launched quietly, drifting through space toward Earth's inner system. And then, just before it reached orbit, it burned. Instant vaporization. No missile. No explosion. Just gone. Erased. The Council officers on every ship stared in horror. Did they shoot it? Someone asked. No, said the sensor tech. There was no weapon signature. It was like it never existed. On Earth, deep under the surface of an unmarked command facility, General Mara stood in front of a wall of monitors. She wore black armor with no rank badge, her eyes sharp as blades. The technician beside her reported, "Council fleet attempted contact," then offered an apology pod, standard format. Did it contain an offer for punishment of those responsible for our colonies? No, General, only talk. only peace. Mara nodded, then let them sit in silence. Let them feel the cold. She walked away, past rows of officers, each sitting silently at control desks. No one spoke. No one celebrated. This wasn't a victory. This was the beginning. Back in orbit, one of the council captains, an old reptilian commander named Tovik, opened a secure channel to Captain Virat. "This is not diplomacy," Tovik growled. "This is war without the fire." Virat agreed. "But look at them. They don't want to fight us. Not yet. They want us to feel what they felt." "What do?" "Mean? Abandoned. Alone. Silenced." The Council had ignored Earth's calls for help during the war. Now, Earth had learned from them and copied it. Perfectly. Suddenly, a signal pulsed through every ship in the fleet. It came from one of the Terran warships. A message. Everyone leaned in. A human voice, calm and cold, echoed across every bridge. "Forgiveness is for those who answer the call when it matters. You were silent when we screamed. Now hear ours." The message cut off. Then, one by one, the Terran ships vanished, slipping into folds of space using tech the Council had never seen. They were gone. Completely. Captain Virat stood in silence. He looked at the stars. He looked at the empty void. And then he whispered something no one else had the courage to say. "They're not trying to start a war." He turned to his crew. "They're showing us that peace was offered once, and we chose silence." That night, the message that shook the stars spread beyond the Council fleets. Across colonies and empires, the words were heard. Whispers became warnings. Warnings became fear. Because now, everyone knew. Humanity hadn't forgotten. They were just waiting. And now, they were done waiting. He deathlessed the Council fleet, returned in silence. No shots had been fired. No war declared. But everyone knew the war had already begun. What they had witnessed was not aggression. It was something far worse. Intention. On the capital world of Seraphis 9, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. This time, the chamber wasn't filled with angry voices. There were no arguments. No shouting. Just fear. The kind of fear that made even the strongest empires pause. Ambassador Chari stepped onto the central platform. Her eyes were tired. Her voice low. "We offered peace," she said. "They didn't reject it. They erased it." A hologram appeared above her head, slowly spinning. A simple list of 10 names written in Galactic Standard. It was not a message from the Council. It came from Earth, from an encrypted channel only accessible to high-level war rooms. The title of the file was short. Response Phase 1. The first name, Tarkel Prime, a former Council military world that once denied humans access to its wormhole gates during the Unity War. The second, Vashan Trade Nexus, a neutral station that sold coordinates of human refugee ships to Earth's enemies for profit. The third, Kiral Hive 7, a colony that took human prisoners and used them in biological experiments, and 7 more followed. All had one thing in common. They had betrayed Earth when humanity begged for help. Ambassador, Shari looked around the chamber. "They are not attacking randomly," she said. "They have a list, a plan. They are choosing who dies first." Her words were followed by a moment of dread silence. Then, a booming voice broke the stillness. It was Counselor Zareem, head of planetary defense. "If we know their targets, we can stop them." Chari turned to him, shaking her head. "You don't understand. They aren't looking for battle. They're looking for justice. And they won't stop for our permission." At that moment, across the galaxy, Tarkel Prime saw its skies burn. The planet's orbital sensors detected nothing, at first only shadows. Then came the storms. Terran stealth ships broke through the atmosphere, moving faster than sound. They dropped no bombs. Instead, they released black drones, small, intelligent, and merciless. These machines didn't just target defense systems. They targeted command centers. Political buildings. Key individuals. Every name on Earth's record logs. Within 11 minutes. The entire ruling council of Tarkel Prime was dead. The rest of the planet was untouched. Not a single civilian was harmed. No resources taken. No soldiers captured. Just silence and fire. A message was left in orbit, burned into the hull of a broken space station. We remember who turned their backs. On Seraphaz 9, the council watched the footage in horror. A cold realization hit them. Humanity had become something new. Not conquerors. Not invaders. Something cleaner. Sharper. Executioners. Meanwhile, in deep space aboard the Terran dreadnought. Oblivion's edge. Admiral Reese stared at the holographic map glowing above the war table. Each enemy world blinked in red beneath them. A line of text. Target status. Pending. Captain Lin, standing beside him, asked quietly, "Do you ever wonder if this is too much?" Reese looked at her. "Do you remember Delta Valkyrie? The refugee fleet that was refused landing and left to die in the cold?" Lin closed her eyes. "Yes." Reese turned to the screen. "They showed us Mercy's weakness. Now we show them why that was a mistake." He tapped the next name, Voshan Trade Nexus. On the trade station, officials were panicking. Dozens of escape. Ships were already fleeing. They had heard what happened on Tarkel Prime. They knew they were next, but it was too late. The sky outside the station went dark as an enormous Terran cruiser slowly emerged from a cloaked position. Its design was like nothing the galaxy had seen, angular, silent, and terrifying. The station's defense ships tried to fire. They were deleted from the Dierge map within seconds. Then the cruiser spoke. A human voice echoed across every channel. "This is the Reckoning-class warship Hammerfall. You profited from our pain. No more warnings. This is retribution." The transmission cut. Seconds later, precision weapons quiet and clean targeted key trading offices, databanks, and vaults. The entire central ring of the station collapsed inward. A message etched into a drone left behind. Forgiveness requires memory. We remember everything. Back in the council chamber, panic exploded. Some leaders called for war. Others begged for surrender. But Ambassador Chari remained calm. "We cannot fight them," she said. "Not like this. They do not seek territory. They do not seek wealth. They seek truth, a truth we buried long ago." Counselor Zareen shouted, "Then what do we do?" She looked up, her voice quiet. "We ask ourselves, if we had helped them, would we be the ones choosing fire now?" The death list continued. More names would follow. And across the stars. A terrifying truth became impossible to ignore. Humanity had once asked for peace that no one listened. Now, Earth wasn't asking anymore. They were answering. The fire protocols, long before Earth vanished from galactic politics. It had already begun preparing for this day, not with anger, not with shouting. But with planning. Deep beneath the frozen surface of Europa Base, hidden in Jupiter's shadow, a long dark facility lit up for the first time in 80 years. Massive steel. Doors opened with a slow groan, revealing rows of silent machines, glowing consoles, and one long digital screen covered in red lines. A cold voice filled the command room. Project Emberfall activated. Phase 2 in motion. Inside, 5 humans stood quietly, their black uniforms without names or insignia. They were not military. They were not politicians. They were the protocol keepers. Each had been trained for one job. Ignite Earth's final defense strategy, not in desperation, but in calculated justice. Their task? Fire protocols. On Earth's surface, General Mara stared at a holoscreen in the war dome. Watching planet after planet turn red dot, she did not smile. She didn't have to. A younger officer approached. General, the Voshan station has been neutralized. Confirmed minimal civilian loss. Good, she said. They sold children's escape codes for platinum. The officer paused, then added, We've also detected open distress calls. Some worlds are offering surrender. Mara's eyes stayed fixed on the screen. We are not here for surrender. We are here for balance. Far in council space, Pia, panic was spreading. Entire planetary governments were shutting down spaceports. Civilian freighters were fleeing inner sectors. Black markets were flooding with forged Earth flags. As desperate traders tried to disguise themselves as allies, the message from humanity was working without speaking. But then something new happened. Something worse. The Terran AI system known as GAI, Galactic Adaptive Intelligence Assembly, activated across the Terran network. This AI wasn't created to kill. It was created to remember. GAI held records of every act against humanity. Every lie, betrayal, broken treaty, and denied distress call. The system didn't decide who lived. It simply organized the fire. In the Terran Capital command room. GAIA spoke through the chamber walls, processing targets based on priority pain index, finalizing planetary burn order. Admiral Reese stood before the glowing ring of data, hands behind his back. Captain Lin asked, Is there no one worth forgiving? Reese answered without looking away. Forgiveness was in the past. This is the consequence. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the third target appeared on the fire list. Chiral Hive 7. This world was infamous, even among council species. It was once a secret research colony during the Unity War. Rumors told of human prisoners, used for chemical trials and genetic slicing. The council claimed it had been shut down. But Earth knew the truth. They always knew. The attack came without warning. Not from ships. From data. A silent Terran code entered Chiral. Hive's central systems. Lights shut off. Gravity failed. Life support paused for 17 minutes. By the time backup power returned, the top level of their leadership had suffocated inside their sealed dome. No damage to the lower workers. No civilian deaths. Just the top. Just those responsible. On the wall of the Hive's central tower, a drone etched the same 6 words. We do not forget. Ever. Inside the council chamber, fear had grown into full breakdown. Why haven't they destroyed cities? Shouted one member. Why haven't they demanded territory? Asked another. Chari stood at the center once more. Her voice was even colder than before. Because they are not here to rule. She paused, then added, They are here to end the game. Back in Terran space, a secret ship emerged, one never mentioned in public. It had no name, only a file number. X-0. It was built from a mix of Terran and stolen alien technology. No windows. No crew. It was a I-only. Its mission. Enter deep into Council core systems. Listen, observe, and judge. From within. And if certain words were spoken, trigger the burn command. XO moved through. Deep space folds silently. The final phase of the fire protocols had begun. General Mara received one final coded message from GAIA. All targets for Phase 1 neutralized. Awaiting Phase 2 authorization. Project Emberfall ahead of schedule. She didn't blink. She didn't hesitate. She gave the order the galaxy had prayed she never would. Proceed to Phase 2. Elsewhere, in an old Earth memorial site orbiting Mars, a quiet screen turned on. No alarms, no sirens. Just a recorded message. A woman's voice from decades ago, calm, soft, full of hope, that was Earth's last peace envoy, long believed dead. If you hear this message, it means they chose silence when we chose peace, and now we choose fire. The galaxy once thought humans were forgiving. Now they were learning. Humanity had just been waiting, and when humans wait long enough, they stop asking. They burn. All eyes no more. The Galactic Council was falling apart. Meetings grew shorter. Arguments turned to shouting. Some member worlds were leaving the alliance completely. Others were reinforcing their borders with fear in their hearts. And all of it came down to one truth. Humanity had returned. But they hadn't returned as diplomats or explorers. They had returned as judges. And no one was safe, even former friends. In the central hall of the Andari, Union, a species once close to Earth during the early days of interstellar contact. President Aelern called an emergency session with his military and science advisors. We stood with the humans, he said. We gave them weapons, supplies, even our maps. We fought beside them during the first cycle of the Unity War. An advisor nodded. Yes, but during the second wave. We stayed neutral. We had no choice, said another. The council forbade intervention. Aelern looked out the window at the Andari capital city, glowing under a blue sky. And now humanity no longer cares about excuses. The fire protocols. They make no difference between enemies and cowards. His hands tightened behind his back. We need to speak with them. Now. They sent a diplomatic pod across neutral space fully marked with Andari peace symbols, broadcasting old Earth languages. The message was simple. We were once friends. We ask only to speak. The pod reached the outer ring of Terran-controlled space, and nothing happened. No. Reply. No scan. No threat. The pod simply drifted. It disappeared. At the edge of Andari space. Satellites went blind. Defense stations received strange interference. And then a signal came through, not a voice, not words. A video. It showed Andari officials, those who profited from neutrality during the war, sitting in old council chambers, while Earth's colonies burned on distant screens. The message ended with 6 chilling words, the same used across the Terran campaign. We do not forget, ever. President Aelern watched the recording with frozen silence. We should have helped them. One general whispered. Al-Aran spoke softly. Now they help no one. Back in Terran command, Admiral Reese received dozens of messages from former allies. Some begged for forgiveness, some offered support. A few warned Earth to stop or risk war. He replied to none of them. Captain Lin stood beside him as the star. Map flickered red. Again another target neutralized. They're scared, she said. They should be, Reese answered. Because they think this is revenge. But it's not. Then what is it? He looked at her and said, it's memory. And justice too long denied. On the fringes of neutral space, the Shelari Republic, another species that had once traded technology with Earth, sent warships to intercept a small Terran scout fleet. They wanted to send a message. Show force. Regain control. The 2 Shelari cruisers powered up their weapons and locked onto the Terran ships. The Terran fleet didn't fire. It vanished. 10 seconds later, the Shelari cruisers' systems crashed. Their reactors froze. Their navigation twisted. They began drifting toward a nearby moon. Before impact, every system turned back on, but it was too late. Both ships crashed into the surface. No lives were lost. No blood was spilled. But across the impact zone, Terran drones carved one sentence into the frozen stone. We speak louder than warnings. In council chambers, Ambassador Chari faced increasing pressure. You knew the humans best, one leader snapped. Tell us how to stop them. Chari looked tired, her eyes distant. You don't stop them. You listen to them. And if they refuse, then you finally understand what they felt. Back on Earth, in the quiet halls of old Geneva, General Mara walked through a private memorial corridor. It was lined with the names of every colony lost, every family never rescued, every plea for help that was ignored. Each name was etched by hand. A soldier approached. "General, we've intercepted another alliance attempt. Former allies. They're offering intelligence and peace." Mara stopped walking. She didn't even turn. "Did they offer it when it mattered?" The soldier paused. "No, ma'am." "Then they are allies no more." The world learned a hard truth in those days. Humanity does not forget friends who become strangers. Especially when those strangers stood in silence as their worlds burned. Former allies tried to stop the Terran fire with words, but Earth didn't listen, because Earth had already spoken once long ago. And now they had only one voice left: fire. The galaxy burns. The stars were no longer quiet. Entire sectors burned red across the galactic map. Communication relays failed one by one. Trade routes were cut like thin ropes. Planets that once believed themselves safe now stared at their skies in fear, because those skies no longer belonged to them. They belonged to Earth. In the war chamber of the Galactic Council, the walls echoed with desperate voices. The room was darker now. Many members had fled or gone silent. Some no longer sent representatives. Others had been erased. A massive 3D display showed the galaxy, flashing with Terran attacks across all 4 quadrants. Fleet Admiral Krell of the Dorvani. Confederation slammed his fist on the table. "This is madness. Earth doesn't want peace. It doesn't want land. It just wants destruction." Ambassador Chari stood at the edge of the map, her eyes fixed on a blinking red dot. "No," she said calmly. "Earth wants memory, and it wants the galaxy to feel what it felt." What did it feel? Krell demanded. Chari finally turned. Abandonment. The world of Koresh 12, a quiet mining colony far from the core systems, had no military bases, no ships, no history of conflict. But decades ago, they refused emergency shelter to 5 Terran escape pods, choosing instead to protect trade deals with Earth's enemies. Now, 5 black Terran drones hovered above the planet. Each one launched a single plasma spear. 5 towers crumbled, the same towers that housed the old trade families. No civilians harmed. No further shots fired. But the message was clear. You had 5 chances. You made 5 choices. In council media channels, panic spread faster than light. Headlines screamed, "Terran fleet reaches core world's council still powerless. Allies abandoned, Earth unleashed. Galaxy on fire. Where will the humans strike next?" But even as the galaxy tried to prepare, Earth stayed 3 steps ahead. They had never stopped watching. They had been preparing for 80 years. And now, their silence had turned into a weapon sharper than any sword. On board the Terran flagship, Judgment Day, Admiral Reese stood before a wall of holograms, each showing a planet or station marked in red. Captain Lin approached, her face pale. "Sir, Phase 2 is nearly complete." Reese nodded. "And the council?" "They've requested a summit. They're begging us to stop." Reese turned to the screen. His voice was quiet, controlled. "They begged us once before. And then they watched us die." In the quiet darkness above Council homeworld Seraphis 9, the Council prepared for their last defense. Massive fleets of warships filled the orbit. Tens of thousands of orbit fighters. Planetary shields at full power. Diplomats, soldiers, and civilians waited together, looking toward the stars, praying Earth would listen. But Earth no longer answered prayers. Only strategy. In the Terran war room, General Mara gave the final order. Target Seraphis 9's communication array. No loss of life, just silence. One command. One signal. A wave of soundless, invisible drones passed through the Council's mighty defenses like smoke. Seconds later, complete blackout. No calls. No Signals. No light. The galaxy's capital fell. Quiet. No one could speak. The council sent small ships, loaded with messages of surrender. Every ship was turned back, not with fire, but with a single repeating signal on every channel. Peace was an option. You ignored it. Now you learn silence. Far from the council's reach, people across the galaxy lit candles. Not for the humans. For themselves. Because they finally understood. Humanity wasn't fighting a war. They were delivering a lesson. On a quiet hill on Earth, surrounded by graves, a small girl stood beside a name etched in stone, her great-grandmother's name. A soldier, a mother, one of millions who died during the Unity War while the galaxy watched in silence. The child looked up at the sky. A Terran warship passed overhead. Silent and black, she whispered one word to it: remember. Inside that same warship, GAIA, the Terran AI, completed its final report. Fire Protocol Phase 2. Complete. 53 confirmed targets. Strategic damage only. Minimal loss of civilian life. A pause. Then one more line appeared on the screen. Emotional impact. Incalculable. The galaxy had begged for peace, but they had begged too late. Now they watched their stars burn not from conquest, but from consequence. The final flame, a cold stillness, had fallen over the stars. No more Terran ships appeared. No more worlds were burned. No new names were added to the fire list. The galaxy sat in fear, not because the fire was still spreading, but because had stopped, and no one knew why. On the edge of the Orion expanse, a hidden Terran facility deep inside an asteroid belt activated a final transmission. Inside, its black steel walls stood a single cryopod. The girl inside looked no older than 12. Her long dark hair frozen in place, her arms folded peacefully over her chest. Her name was Amira Lee. She had been the youngest peace envoy ever sent from Earth before the Unity War began. Her last recorded message to the Galactic Council had been ignored. Her escape pod was lost in deep space. Earth believed she was dead, but she was never lost. She had been preserved, protected by Earth's highest order as a final choice. And now, she was awake. Aboard the Terran command ship Ashfall, Admiral Reese stared at the incoming signal from the asteroid base. She's alive, he whispered. Captain Lynn stepped closer. What do we do? Reese didn't answer right away. Then he spoke, slowly, like lifting a weight buried for decades. We ask her. Across the galaxy, leaders gathered, secretly in the ruins of a once proud council world. No cameras, no fleets, no politics. Only fear. Fear that Earth's silence now meant one thing. Something worse was coming. Then, a surprise transmission arrived. A live channel, Terran code. No threat. No demand. Only an invitation. A message will be delivered. All systems. One speaker. Every planet. Every station. Every ship. Screens lit up. In the face of a young human girl appeared. Amira lay. Her voice was soft, but steady. Her eyes carried the weight of generations. I came to you once, as a child, asking for peace. I came with open hands, but your answer was silence. Your leaders laughed. Your guards blocked the gates. While our homes burned, you wrote speeches. She paused, letting the silence speak. Now I speak with the voice of all who died unheard. I do not speak for revenge. I speak so that no one forgets what silence truly costs. Across the galaxy, billions watched without breathing. The fire protocol ends today, not because you surrendered, not because you begged, but because the message has been written in the stars. She looked down for a moment, then up again. This is our final flame. It does not burn cities. It burns into memory. Back on Earth, in a quiet chamber beneath the old United Nations building, a fire was lit in a small glass bowl. Got no sirens, got no speeches, just flame, a ritual to mark the end, not of war, but of warning. One by one, Terran warships powered down weapons. They left enemy space. They made no claims, took no prizes, and they carried nothing but silence with them. The galaxy was left whole, but changed forever. The Council tried to rebuild, but it no longer had power. Former allies sent gifts to Earth. None were returned. No trade. No talks. Only quiet skies. A new law spread through the stars, not written by governments, but whispered. From system to system. When humanity speaks, listen. When they're silent, prepare. On a distant moon, a child asked his teacher, "Will the humans come back again?" The teacher thought for a long time, then said, "Only if we forget why they left." Inside the asteroid vault, Amira Lee recorded one last message, locked behind. Layers of code, only to be opened if history repeated itself. She sat quietly, alone, beside a window showing the stars. She had been the first voice of peace, and now she was the last dot in the end. Humanity did not conquer the galaxy. They did not rule it. They did something far more terrifying. They taught it a lesson it would never forget, a lesson written not with armies, but with fire.